Hello, everyone, and welcome to Preemie Chats, a space where we connect, learn, and share stories about the world of prematurity. I'm Leah Whitehead. I'm a proud preemie mom and a former journalist, and I'm happy to be your host today from Halifax, Nova Scotia. I'm so honored to have you joining us for this Preemie Chats. Preemie Chats is brought to you by the Canadian Premature Babies Foundation, or CPBF, a parent-led charitable organization dedicated to supporting families, advocating for the needs of premature babies, and providing the latest information and resources to help parents and caregivers navigate this journey. So whether you're a parent, a healthcare professional, a researcher, or someone interested in understanding more about preterm birth, you're in the right place. Together, we build a supportive community where stories are shared, questions are answered, new evidence is explored, and no one feels alone. Be sure to visit our website. It's there on the screen, CanadianPreemies.org, where you'll find helpful resources, our latest projects, and most importantly, a community of people who want to see our little ones thrive. So if you're watching live today, please join in the conversation. Share your questions and comments in the chat, and we will address them at some point during the program today. And if you happen to be watching a recorded session, you can still connect with us through our website. It's through meaningful discussions like the one we're about to have, where we advance practice and grow together. It's always interesting to see where people are joining us from and have a little bit about who they are. So please, in the chat, let us know where you're watching, and we'd love to hear from you. Now, we've said many times as parents how NICU changes us. It changes us in all kinds of different ways as we integrate our NICU experience into our everyday lives after discharge. Today, we're going to be talking about the impact of our NICU experiences and how having premature babies can unite parents from across the country with a common goal: improving the life of preemies and their families. We're going to be talking to a preemie parent and a dear friend of mine, Karen Bong, on this topic. Karen's daughter, Lucy, was born at 25 weeks. They spent 109 days in NICU, and this journey led her to partner with her NICU as a graduate parent, and now she supports an entire network Canada-wide as she is the director of CPBF's Parent Partner Network. Karen and her husband, Andrew, are parents of Lucy. She was born again at 25 weeks in 2013, and Jessie was born full term in 2016. Lucy spent 109 days in the NICU at Sunnybrook Health Sciences Center in Toronto. The amazing care provided by the Sunnybrook staff, including a peer parent, inspired Karen to help current and future NICU families. First as a volunteer, then in a staff position, Karen was a parent partner at Sunnybrook from 2015 to 2024, supporting families and helping the NICU team deliver family integrated care. Since 2022, Karen has served as the director of CPBF's Parent Partner Network, bringing together NICU parent partners from across Canada. By facilitating parent partners sharing of information, ideas, and experiences, the Parent Partner Network supports parent partners' contributions to NICU programs, initiatives, and quality improvement work. Thank you so much for joining us here today, Karen. It's good to see you.
Thank you for having me, Leah. You know, when we talked about this, you raised the point that this is really a story about how my relationship with my child grew into a relationship with a connection with other current families at Sunnybrook, and then that grew in turn into relationships across the country with other parent partners who had their own connections in supporting current families, future families too. And just the growth from that one seed of I had a baby who was a preemie.
Mm-hmm.
So I think I'll start at the very beginning about the NICU and my family's journey. As Leah mentioned, my daughter Lucy was born at 25 weeks. My water broke at 24 weeks, and up until then, everything had been perfectly fine. So I was immediately plunged into medical crisis. We didn't know what was happening. We didn't know that this could happen. We were scared. We had so much uncertainty. And I think whether you spend a day in the NICU or a year, some people spend longer, that that fear for your baby changes you. It's an experience you will probably never forget. And so, I mean, I lost my community. I didn't fit into my birth club anymore. I didn't know anyone who had had a baby born in second trimester. It was just me. Um, and so my water broke. I developed an infection. I had an emergency C-section. I was pumping 8 to 10 times a day. I slept about 3.5 hours every night and tried to nap in between. There was no one in my family or circle of friends that understood what I was going through. Even a friend that had a preemie before had a late preterm baby, and having a baby at 25 weeks was a lot different. It's hard to explain to someone who hasn't been through it what it's like to leave your baby every night and go home without her, because that is probably the biggest illustrator of how unnatural an NICU parenting experience is. You're never supposed to leave your baby in the care of people who are essentially strangers and go home without her, especially when she is essentially a second trimester fetus. We went through so much fear and isolation and stress and just this incredibly unnatural parenting journey that we had no context for. We didn't know, it wasn't what we were expecting. In the midst of all that, though, the Sunnybrook Care Team has an amazing culture of embracing families and integrating them. More so, during our time at Sunnybrook, we were part of the Family Integrated Care Study with very defined metrics for involving families. And so we were there, we were welcome 24 hours a day, but we were there every day. I was in rounds every morning. I did cares, we did kangaroo care every day. I pumped with the incredible support of lactation consultants. And on top of that, they had a paid parent on staff who I think as an individual had the greatest impact on us having a positive NICU experience, because the medical staff were so compassionate and knowledgeable and caring, but it was another preemie parent that could role model for me what it's like to be a mom who leaves her baby at home at the hospital every night to go home, because I didn't know anyone else who had been doing that long term. She could role model for me what it was like to get through really difficult moments, like a stretch of time early on where they couldn't place a PICC line for my daughter. She had the same infection I developed. She needed antibiotics over the course of many days. And it was so stressful for us, for them to tell us again and again we couldn't place the PICC line. But to talk to another parent who had had a similar experience and had gotten through the other side was so reassuring. It gave us context for how important that PICC line was in the grand scheme of things. And finally, just speaking to someone else who understands what you're going through. There's that credibility there that even the most caring person cannot replicate. Knowing someone has walked in your shoes, it creates this connection that is irreplaceable. So you can see from the photos, my daughter Lucy was born at 25 weeks. She was a pound and a half. We did eventually make it home. And while we left the NICU physically, the whole experience changed us as a family. It changed me as a person. You can walk out of the NICU, but products of that experience stay with you. So, Leah, could you please do the next slide? Thank you. I was so inspired by my experience to help future families, current and future families, because, I knew about the evidence of parental presence and kangaroo care and human milk and all of the ways that family integrated care improves outcomes, but I'd seen the impact of having a peer parent in helping families integrate, because it's great to have research studies that say this is really good for your baby, but having someone there to support you in doing something that isn't what you thought parenting would be at all, and not in a good way. It was really lousy to be pumping milk instead of breastfeeding my baby right from the start. Someone who could walk that journey with you, I knew firsthand the impact of how that helped parents be involved. And so when my daughter was about a year and a half and we could put her into daycare, which she loved, I went back to the NICU and volunteered. And I got involved in peer support and programs and educational speaking, and I joined their quality improvement committee. I had a second baby during that time, my son Jesse, who was full term, and I will fully admit that it was a great opportunity for me to bring him so that when we met other NICU parents, they could see that my family had gotten through the experience, but also that we had gone on to live the life that we had hoped for. Parents used to approach me and say, "Is that your preemie baby?" And I would say, "No." And they were very hopeful. I would explain to them that this was the full term baby I had after my preemie. And my preemie was in daycare and having a blast. And the way their faces would light up, because they needed hope that not just that they would be okay, that their family would be able to be happy and thrive. After 3 years, the opportunity came up for me to join the staff. And so for another 6 years, I served as part of the staff at Sunnybrook as a family support specialist. There was a whole family support team of myself, another paid parent, the breastfeeding resource nurses, and the wider team that brought all these initiatives to help support and represent families. So I have a few pictures of some of the work we did in terms of special events, of being liaisons, of adapting family integrated care for COVID restrictions, because that was a huge pivot for us. And also you can see me there with a poster talking about volunteer programs, bringing back volunteer programs after COVID. Um, this was such amazing, impactful, rewarding work. I noticed how much I got during that time out of meeting other parent partners who were doing this kind of work in other NICUs. Whenever we talked to each other, we learned so much. We felt this deep connection of understanding what it means to bring your experiential knowledge into a realm where everyone else has professional medical knowledge. What we had was integral, but also a little bit different. And it's a different experience to bring something so personal and vulnerable into your work, but so critically important. I didn't know that many parent partners across Canada. I met Leah. I knew a few others that had paid positions. There were a couple. I was extremely fortunate to have my mentor, who had been my parent support when I was in the NICU, still working within our Damn Women and Babies program, and another paid parent working with me on the team. But we just weren't connected. We weren't networked. So CPBF had the vision of bringing together parent partners across the country. So in 2022, I became involved as the director of their Parent Partner Network. And bringing together parent partners across the country, first of all, we had that same experience of deep connection, of supporting each other, of sharing information and ideas. So we knew what's going on in other NICUs. We knew that, hey, this NICU has volunteer parents doing peer support. So if another center is interested in this, we can connect their volunteer resource programs so they know that this is being done somewhere else. There's a structure, it's sanctioned, it's safe, there's training. Here's how you do it. We were able to save other units from reinventing the wheel, because up until we were connected, we were working in silos. I think bringing us all together created awareness across the country that parent partners are doing this work, and ICUs are embracing us into their team in very structured and formal ways. Um, and we're making a difference. And I think just on a personal level, being able to be inspired by so many different stories, so many different projects, and people that had so many different experiences. So you could be involved even if you had a full term baby that had meconium aspiration. There was probably another parent partner who had the same sort of experience. Or if you had twins, or if you had a surviving triplet, or micro preemies, we had such an array of lived experience represented with us that we were all able to find connection in there. We were all able to find inspiration in what work we were doing, whether it was on a committee or starting up volunteer programs or just getting into the unit and supporting other families. So I'm proud to say that now we have a parent partner network of 50 parent partners who are either volunteering or working with their NICUs. They are where the families are right now and having direct impact on supporting them, improving their experience, improving outcomes, and representing the family voice, the patient voice on levels of policy, in projects and committees, in quality improvement and research. Our parent partners represent NICUs across 7 provinces. We would love to have all 10 provinces and the territories represented. If you have a parent partner in your unit, please get them in touch with us through the CPBF website. And we stay connected. We are meeting quarterly on Zoom to just catch up and hear what's going on and help each other with any sort of things that come up. We see each other at conferences. We often participate as presenters, as poster presenters, helping co-facilitate workshops and doing informal teaching. We raise awareness across the country about prematurity, about how you can get involved to support NICU babies and their families, um, and letting everyone know that there is, for instance, quality improvement training. So if you want to involve parents in your QI initiatives, there is training available to help them get going, and there's support and mentorship for them being involved in your work. We create recommendations and guidelines, and we just help show that healthcare is changing. People with lived experience, whether patient or families, are playing a greater role in helping improve outcomes and helping make the experience of receiving care better. And so, our big project right now is bringing parents to national level quality improvement committees through EPIC, which is evidence based practice for improving quality. That is the network of all the level 3 NICUs across Canada who share data and who collaborate to improve practices that will make for better outcomes. We are in the process of integrating parents into these teams so we can make a contribution to this very important work. Moving forward, I'm so excited for everything that we've accomplished and where we're going to go, but I'm really proud just of where that once again, Leah, what you said about that one relationship with my baby growing into this beautiful tree of connections and branches and bearing fruit that's helping current and future families. As an NICU parent, I couldn't ask for more impactful work than what I'm doing right now, and I'm so excited about the Parent Partner Network. So thank you very much for giving me the opportunity to talk about it and to share the good work that we're doing.
Karen, this is amazing. And you could have warned me that you were going to end like that, because I'm almost crying over here of that beautiful picture of the tree coming out of our experience and branches reaching out. I wrote down multiple quotes that will be attributed to Karen Bong that are amazing about the power of this network and
Can
your
I share the
passion.
story of
It's
the photo?
beautiful.
So the photo is from
Sure.
the conference in Montreal in February, and we tried to take this photo about 4 times over the course of a 3-day conference because there were so many of us. It was hard to get us all in the same room at the same time, and so um, we had to like quickly find a spot, but I'm so proud to say that there were so many of us there doing this
Mm,
work, representing our centers. Just amazing how, over the course of a couple of years, our presence has gotten so big. And so I love this photo because we're all kind of in our last day clothes, right? We party the night before at the charity dinner, and it's our last day clothes. Like I'm wearing a t-shirt, but that it was so hard to get us all together because there's so many of us. I'm so proud.
And you're right. In those early days, there weren't many parent partners who were attending these kind of conferences that were really intended at the beginning for healthcare professionals only. It's a beautiful, beautiful image of all of us together. We have a comment here I have to share. If I don't even know if I can read it out loud without crying. But Katerina said, Karen, you made an amazing impact for me when we were at Sunnybrook. For the first time, I told my son what it was like to leave the first time when I had gone in with a baby in my belly. She goes on to say, and walking to the car the first time without a baby just broke me down. Adrenaline had kept me not even realizing up to that point. And that just reminds me, I responded to Katerina's comment there that peer support is powerful. And even you said yourself, it had the peer partner in your hospital had the biggest impact on your positive NICU experience. I'm sorry, I did not mean to make you cry, but that is the power of peer support, right? That's the beauty of it.
Was that Christina that wrote in?
That was Katerina Christ.
Katerina, thank you for commenting. It's nice to hear from you.
hmm And now she goes on to say, and maybe you can answer this for us. She said it would be amazing to have parent partners at level 2 NICUs. Advocacy at level 2 for the partners is so needed. And I did take note of that too, Karen, that we were talking a lot about the level 3 NICUs, which, as we know, they're the most intensive that we would have across the country. So are there plans to include other levels of NICUs in the future?
There have been plans in place for a long time. I think one important piece of context is that to get all the provinces and territories with their separate hospitals all united and on the same page and harmonized, that is an extremely long-term kind of process. So, you're right. We do have a few parent partners from level twos in the network. We do need more parent partners from level twos involved. We do need more programs and more supports. Uh, Level two is very different, I'm told, because the stays are shorter. They often stay 6 months, level two, but the parents go through the same struggle. They lose their community, they're isolated, and they're kind of set adrift here because they don't have the same support as level three, but they need something. So absolutely, we need level two involvement. I'm hoping eventually they'll get to the point where they're collecting data at this Canadian network level. We're not there yet, but we know.
And so Katerina says, the reason I ask is that moving from Sunnybrook level 3 to our level 2 was traumatic. This is something I used to hear a lot as well when I was a parent partner in the NICUs. At Sunnybrook, I got to hold my son the whole day. At level 2, I was told that disturbed their sleep. Yeah, so exactly what you were saying, that, things are different in level 2. So what would your advice be for families who maybe are looking to start a parent partner program or a peer support program? What would be their starting point?
approaching their NICU and finding someone who is going to check in with you. This is tricky because different NICUs are at different stages of embracing people with experience. And I will also say that they are working their behinds off. Working in NICU is so intense. Care has gotten even more demanding over the past, well, I guess since the so it's a big challenge by approaching because I do find from the other side, oftentimes NICUs are interested, but they're not sure where to find. So letting them know you're interested.
Hmm. Good advice. Yes, to start even by putting your hand up, right? And saying that this is something that I'd be interested in getting involved in. You talked about, so much, but when you talked about injecting hope, you said letting people know that your family can be happy and thrive after NICU. Now, we talked about peer support in NICU, and we talked about the connections we have as parent partners, but I'm just wondering if you could speak to a little bit almost the real-time peer support that happens for parents who are in this position. Because you and I know we've sat down and we've had these meetings about there's a different experience to return to a place where you've had your child, where you've had to leave your child, where you've had traumatic experiences. It's hard to return and to offer support to other people. And so if you could speak a little bit just about how the Parent Partner Network supports each other, how we have peer support amongst ourselves.
I think I mentioned that experiential knowledge is a bit of an emerging thing in healthcare. And so you might be the only one or two people there who are on the team on the strength of you being a former patient or parent. And that can be tough because medical people have these letters behind their names and MOF. And that can be very intimidating. But when we talk to other and we talk about the work that you're doing, and you hear about what's going on, and you know how that helps you, you're valid. You're like the struggles you might be having are working towards something. And I think the other part of it is going back to the NICU, you will see or hear things that bring up memories. They bring up feelings. I remember going back the soap in the wash and the hand sanitizer. And those are smells very specific to the NICU. And it just hits you.
Yeah.
Everything you went through. And that is something you really only explain to another person who has had that experience as you work. And then the soap makes you drop. It's you sound a little bit strange. But when you talk to another parent who is using their own others, you get it, right?
Mm-hmm.
You know, I think a lot had the experience of sitting through a presentation or cry. And that's normal for people with experiential, but you really only know that by talking to each other.
Yeah. Your sound is cutting out a little bit for me here and there, Karen. I don't know if it is for others, but I don't know if you can adjust your mic a little bit, or I don't know.
I'm on an iPad. So
Is it?
do you get an
Okay.
echo?
It's not an echo. It's just kind of cutting in and out at times.
Okay. Let's see how
Yeah.
it goes.
Okay. All right. We have a question from Pat R. Pat says, "Hi, I'm a retired neonatologist, neonatal follow-up doc. Any thoughts about a national peer support program for post-discharge via CN Fund?" And the CN Fund is the Canadian Neonatal Follow-Up Network.
I mean, I'm a big fan of funded national programs, particularly because healthcare is provincial in Oregon. So even if we're not siloed, we're working in provincial containers. I will say CPBF has their own weekly support on Thursdays for current and graduate families. So even outside of the hospital system, there are peer support resources. But I think like anything in healthcare, the limiting factors are often time and resources. So I would be really interested in having a discussion about that because I think there's more need for peer support than there is peer support. And I think that national programs make peer support ever. Because certainly some healthcare systems or allocate more resources to,
Mm.
but I think all families opportunity to be supported by a peer.
We have a comment from someone watching who says, "I'm a mother of a preemie born 25 weeks and 6 days. We left the NICU in December 2024. He spent 107 days in the NICU. It was a very fearful and traumatizing period." So very similar to the time frame of Lucy, 25 weeks. And I think you guys spent 109 days, was it? Yeah. So again, that shared experience where our journeys are not the same. They can be very different. And yet, the heart of what we've experienced, that, like she said, fearful and traumatizing time, we all know what that feels like. And yes, peer support is so important. And so is the fact that, like you said, before the Parent Partner Network, there was nothing that brought together all of these voices from across the country. And so, I'd be working away in Halifax and didn't know what was happening in Ontario or BC until the CPBF Parent Partner Network really started coming together and doing these Zoom calls and idea sharing. And I think I mentioned to you that even like an audit of what NICUs were doing across the country, I often had a beat on what other NICUs were doing because of these meetings. So I wondered if you could talk about the power of the collective voice and just the how do you think the Parent Partner Network advocates? And is it stronger than if we were all working separately? I know the answer to that. And I know you do too.
I think, first of all, one person showing what's possible inspires and empowers everyone who may have been thinking about starting something in terms of program or suggesting policy or advocating for seeing that it has been done, that it's possible, helps get it done elsewhere. Because oftentimes we're trying to change
We're
very
trying to change very
entrenched practices.
practices.
We're trying to change
We're trying to
culture.
change culture.
We're trying to
We're
earn a place
trying to earn a
that they don't
yep,
get.
yet.
And so just
And
knowing
so just knowing
and you have
and
something
you
to point
have
to.
something to point to.
I have numerous examples
Have
of
numerous
in my
examples
role
of
as a crook
integral as a drug,
being able to share the
being able to
volunteer
share
program
the volunteer
running.
program running.
So other hospitals who
So
thought it
other
was
hospitals who thought it was possible
could see that
could
we
see
are
that
doing it
it
and how.
and how.
I think knowing that
I
they're
think knowing that they're
a parent partner
a
group
parent partner group
gives
gives
visibility
visibility
because it's great if, oh,
because it's
there's one
great if there's one
this city doing that.
city doing that.
But when you know that there's
But when
50
you know that there's 50
doing it across the
really
country,
across the country,
it starts to raise
it
awareness.
starts to raise awareness.
Parent support
Parent
programs
support programs
are becoming a
are
standard
becoming a standard
because they are so
because
valuable.
they are so valuable.
And they are so
And they
valuable.
are so valuable.
You see other
You
hospitals
see other
invest.
hospitals
I think that
I
answers your
think
question.
that answers your question.
It does, yes, for sure. And the other thing that, as we think about the collective voice and bringing things, it's also, I think, introducing a different kind of partnership because, like, I could share the information that I knew, like you said, oh, such and such a hospital is doing this. Because we know that healthcare providers are very busy and they often don't have time to do that kind of work. Whereas when we're connecting, which we have to do anyway, or we don't have to, but I did, I loved connecting with parent partners from across the country. Then you're also able to help and partner in a different way that brings, I don't know, a different level of value, I guess, to being on the team.
It's
It's
networking,
networking,
Mm-hmm.
and it's
and
networking
it's
with
networking with
a wider
a
community
wider community
than the medical people might
that
have.
medical people might have.
Right. We have the connections.
Yeah. So
Yeah.
it's a sharing of
So the
knowledge
sharing
and
of knowledge and
relationships
relationships
that I think
that I
grows the
think
team
grows
and grows the access to
the
expertise.
access to expertise.
Mm-hmm. I have a personal question for you. I know that Lucy is very similar, very close in age to Tess, because we were in NICU 2013 as well. And I know that, Tessa was always very interested in the work I was doing. And we always talked about her NICU journey. Just wondering what your conversations have looked like with Lucy about the kind of work you do and her response to that.
I got involved when she was about a year and a half old.
Involved old.
So I've always been a
I've
parent
always been
partner
a
as
parent
far as I
for
remember.
them.
When she was younger,
When
it
she
was
was
very just,
younger, it was very just,
mommy, the other
mommy,
family
the other family
that are in the
are
NICU
in
like
the
we were.
ICU like we were.
And we have pictures to
We have
show
pictures
her and
to show
stories
her
to
and
tell her.
stories to tell her.
As she's gotten
As
older,
she's gotten older,
I've been able to give more
I've been able
concrete
to give more
examples.
concrete examples.
Um,
Um,
like for instance,
like
one
for
of the
instance, one of
slides,
my
those were the Halloween
those were
costumes
the Halloween costumes
I cut
I
in 2020
2020,
so that parents
so
could
that
make their
parents
own
could make
costume
their own
for their
costumes
baby
for their
in their
baby
room.
in their room,
So no
so
infection,
no infection,
but their baby could
but
still
their
have
baby could still have
Halloween costume made
Halloween costume made
parents
for it
to celebrate the
to
occasion
celebrate the occasion
and explain to
and
her
explain to
what
her what
doing and
doing
why that
and
costume
why
was
that
so
costume was so.
in
In
2023 I brought
2023, I brought
her to a
to
conference
a conference
and we did a little
and
Q&A
we did a little
presentation
Q&A presentation,
and I explained to
and I
her
explained to her
that this would be
that this would be
interesting for the medical
interesting for the medical
community
community
what a former 25
what a
weeker
former 25
like
weeker like
And there was one
And
year
there
that
was one year
EA
that
day
EDT
permitted.
permitted.
So I brought him to the hospital to
Brought him to
hand
the
out
hospital. They hand
and CPBF
and
pins
CPBF
that,
pins that,
and explained to
and
her that
explained to her that
it gives people
it
hope
gives
to
people hope
preemies
is
become these big kids
these big kids
who can be put to work by their
to
mom.
work by their mom.
And she takes it
And
all
she
just
takes it all just
at face
at
value.
face value.
She's enthusiastic.
Enthusiastic.
She now associates
Now
conference
proceeds conference
day.
day.
So
So
was there bacon,
was
Mom?
there
Yes,
bacon,
there was
Mom?
bacon.
Yes, there was bacon.
It's
It's
hey, she was intubated. I
she was
love that.
intubated. I love it.
But
But
yeah, she
yeah, she
doesn't know any different.
is different.
And I think
And
being
I
able
think
to
being able
brought back to
to want
her
to her
own experience
own
as a pre
experience as a pre
and our own family
and her own
story
family story
makes my work
makes my work
accessible in a way
accessible in a way
maybe another job would.
another job would.
Mm.
My husband's a software consultant,
Software consultant,
and that's not really
and
accessible
that's
to
not
me.
really accessible to me.
So for the
So
kids,
for
right,
the kids, I
our understanding is not the same
understand is not
as we live through.
live through.
Hmm. And it probably, that accessibility and it being something that's so close to our hearts also allows us to process our journey differently, I feel. Because when you mentioned your husband, I was thinking, yeah, my husband, I remember he didn't talk much about our NICU experience, a little bit here and there, but then when he volunteered and spent some time with some NICU dads, because I kind of voluntold him and he was excited to do it and went in and they did a pizza night, I think their first night together, the dads group. And he came home and he said, that has moved me to a different place because there were some things that just, isn't in your face as much when you're not revisiting your journey. And I think for us, certainly for myself, it helped me process my journey differently than not working in NICU.
I certainly think so.
I think so.
While I wanted to help
Well, I
families,
want to help families.
I think I was also
I
so
was
interested
also
in
so
learning about
interested about
prematurity
puberty
because while you can
because
leave the
while you in
NICU,
the NICU,
as my mentor Kate
as
Robson
my
likes to
mentor
say,
Robson likes to say,
prematurity casts a long
maturity
shadow.
casts a long shadow.
Mm.
Especially in the early
In
days where
the
you're
early
doing
days, we're doing
all these
all
follow-up
these follow-up
appointments and you're
appointments,
watching
and
for
you're
miles
watching
to
for months to
walk.
walk.
You want to learn
You want
everything
to
you
learn
can about.
everything you can about.
Um,
Um,
so
so
working in that environment,
working
you
in that
see
environment, you see
divided, you learn
divided,
about
you
maturity.
learn maturity.
It does change your
Change
understanding
your
of
understanding of
what your one
what
experience
your one
was
experience was
compared to
compared to
the broader
the
universe
broader universe
in ICU.
ICU.
I think it's given
I
me
think it's given me
to be
to
extra
be extra
for
for
all the care that we
all
receive,
the care that we receive,
how good our
how good
outcomes,
our outcomes has been,
and how much healing
and
we
how much healing
receive.
we received.
I think as
I
well,
think as well,
with every year that goes
every
by,
year that goes by,
and I'm a preemie
and I'm
parent,
a parent,
an older
an
preemie,
older preemie,
it gives
it
me
gives me
a wider
a
lens
wider lens
of what helps
of what
families.
helps families.
Mm.
Because I think in the
Because
very
I think
moment
in the very moment,
I saw
I
value
saw
in
value in
the peer parent that
your
helped me
parent that helped me
keep showing up every
keep
day
showing up every day,
and pumping and
pumping
holding
and
and
holding and
working through the scary
working
news.
through the scary nip.
But as I got
But
further
as I
away,
got further away,
being in the
being in
hospital,
the hospital,
I saw the
I
value
saw
of
the value of
trying to place
trying to
support
place support
so that families could
that
eventually
families could eventually
heal
feel
the hospital.
Mm.
And so just
just
effective
active
Mm.
in really valuable ways being in
ways
that.
in that.
Karen, you are a soundbites dream. The stuff you say just off the cuff, what I love about you, and I really do love you, Karen, but one of the reasons I love you is because you lead heart first. And that's why I think this parent partner network is not just a beautiful structural thing to have, and not just, we listed many reasons why it's an important thing, but it is more beautiful because you are at the helm. And so thank you for living vulnerably, for living bravely, for continuing to have a tremendous impact, not only in wider NICUs, but right down to individuals. The hope, the inspiration, the drive that you give to other families. You are truly a gift. So thank you for sharing your wisdom with us today, your family story, your photos. It's always an honor to hear other people's experiences. So thank you so much for joining us and for sharing. And I personally cannot wait to see what happens with this amazing parent partner network as you continue to lead us forward.
It's a pleasure, Leah. Thank you.
And thank you, everyone, for joining us today for today's edition of Preemie Chats. If you missed a part of today's session or you want to revisit it, you will be able to find this episode and all of our past episodes on the website, canadianpreemies.org. It's also on our YouTube channel. And if you do go to our website, there you will find many free resources and support options that we offer to families on this journey. You already heard we talked about the peer support program that happens on Thursdays at noon. So there's many, many ways that CPBF supports families. You'll be reminded while you're there that CPBF is a charitable organization and it relies on the generous support of people like you. Your donations allow us to continue empowering families of premature babies every step of the way. Together, we can create a brighter future for all preemies and their families. And speaking of a brighter future, I'm going to talk about the future. I'm just going to pop this up for a minute. I know November feels like a long way away, but it's really not. We are going to have our gala tickets available soon. This is the first time that Canadian Premature Babies Foundation has put on a gala, a night to shine hope for premature babies. It will bring together families, compassionate individuals, businesses, advocates, community leaders, healthcare professionals, philanthropists, all for an evening of connection and giving. There's going to be food. There's going to be an auction. There's going to be music. It's all going to be wrapped up in purple-hued happiness and heartwarming giving. So please continue to keep your ear to the ground on this event. You won't want to miss it, happening November 6th. Mark it in your calendars. Thank you for being a part of this community. We hope you will join us again next Friday at 1 p.m. Eastern Time for another live edition.